Hey everybody, this is Nightwatch N8. Hope you're all good out there. I've been all right. It's a beautiful day up in the mountains, Rocky Mountains. I just thought I'd cover today, since I live here in Colorado, I'm about, those of you people that know me, know where to find me. I live probably about 30 to more like 40 minutes away from Boulder. And, Boulder, Pearl Street Mall in particular, as a kid, it's kind of one of my old stomping grounds. That's one of the places I kind of grew up. I mean, we lived in the Longmont area primarily, but, if you ever wanted to go have some fun, you'd go over to Boulder, and it's college town, and it's just a really unique area, some rock climbing. It's got the flat irons. Yes, on occasion, I partook in some illegal, at the time now, I guess it's illegal activities with different controlled substances. But went to many a rave and all that fun stuff. But so Pearl Street has always been like near and dear to my heart, I guess. Even though it's the whole town has changed incredibly just within my lifetime. Boulder in particular, it's one of those cities I don't particularly like to drive through. In fact, I try to avoid it any chance I can. It's kind of like a little commie mecca over there. It's basically like every color of Fruit Loop you can imagine lives in Boulder. And on top of that, it's you just get really like a police state vibe, probably because there's so many crackheads and homeless people wandering around. So, but yeah, it's always been very strict. You don't ever want to get like pulled over in Boulder County, be caught doing something wrong in Boulder County, because it got too many laws, basically, is what I'm saying. This Suleiman guy from, I guess his visa had recently expired from Egypt. Trump tweeted out about how it's all Biden's fault, and this is Biden's open border policies, and I haven't got around to fact checking that, but I think from the sounds of it, he had a visa, so I'm pretty sure he was probably here, or he came here anyway, illegally. And I kind of doubt, other than the fact that it kind of fits the bill with this recent verbiage coming from the Trump administration, that we should vet anybody who is anti-Israel or anti-Zionist, as this guy was, who, if you haven't heard the story yet, he's like, I think he's 44, 45 years old, obviously freaking fell off the special bus, psychopath who obviously had a chip on his shoulder over the occupation of Palestine. I don't know how personal that is to him. I guess he had several kids and a wife. It's like, I think one of his daughters just recently graduated. It's like, what a great graduation present for your daughter there, bud. I mean, what a great example you are for your kids. But he was, if you haven't heard the story already, I don't know how you haven't, but if you haven't, he was caught with, I guess he had like dozens in the back of his car. I think he had 3 or 4 of these improvised Molotov cocktail that he just recently filled up at the gas station on the way to Boulder. I think he's from Centennial. It's less than an hour drive from Boulder. And he threw them at some, I guess they were doing this for some kind of a pro-Israel group that was doing this activism. I think it was like every week straight for weeks and weeks now. And so I guess, if you have a chip on your shoulder against a particular demographic or group of people for whatever reason, you know where to find them next week, right? If they keep doing this every week. But sorry for the noise. My truck still having problems shifting from first to second gear. So he threw Molotov cocktails at these people, at this crowd of activists, pro-Israel, free the hostage activist, I guess. So, I mean, this whole thing just smacks of, state-sponsored radicalization of these different groupthink, individuals that have nothing else to stand for other than what they're spoon-fed is a worthy cause. Once again, by the legacy mainstream media. It's just, sorry about that, I dropped my phone. It's just one of these things that it gets on my nerves, because I see it for what it is. It is this trauma-induced brainwashing method where you get one group pinned against the other group, and it just continues to feed the dialectic that the high priest of statecraft need these little parasites. They need people to ascribe to in order for their little operations, their broader agenda to reach fruition, basically. I mean, if it wasn't for people getting caught up in these dialectics, us versus them, Democrat versus Republican, Palestine versus Israel, then the globalists who have captured our governments wouldn't be able to get away with half as much as they can get away with, right? As long as people keep playing along with the dialectic. So, and one thing I haven't really even heard from people who should know better, like, I don't know, say Alex Jones of the InfoWars, Tip of the Spear, the guy who used to call all this stuff out back in the day, but now it's just kind of conveniently, happily jumped on the two-party bandwagon to make himself filthy rich, because he rakes in millions of dollars a month, selling things like methylene blue, the petroleum-based textile dye, to his audience as some kind of a miracle cure. And all that money flow would quickly dry up if he ever did, I don't know, say, start calling out the current regime, the Trump administration, and the false left-right paradigm, which pays, it just pays oh so well, doesn't it? So, yeah, back in the day, like in the months and years following 9/11, the FBI was caught routinely setting up mentally ill patsies. And a lot of times I'd hear about these different, thwarted terrorist attacks, and then all the dirt that later came out about how it was actually another patsy from the FBI. I'd hear about a lot of these stories through sources like Alex Jones. This was just shortly after 9/11, back when I could still tolerate listening to the guy. But yeah, back then, Alex Jones had some decent, valuable information if you wanted to know on a deeper level other than what you'd been, fed with a silver spoon from the legacy media. He was a decent alternative news source back in the day. I've listened to Alex Jones. Some of you people out there know that I used to actually roast coffee for InfoWars, the head coffee roaster. I've listened to Alex Jones, pre 9/11, back in the late 90s. In any case, enough about Alex Jones. He gets plenty of airtime as is. If you haven't noticed on X, the guy just gets showered with attention because he props up and promotes the two-party paradigm. Like anybody who's jumped on board the MAGA train, the MAGA special bus, put on your little red special helmet and jump on board, kids. Because Trump is, and Trump has done more for the two-party system than anybody in my lifetime, right? Despite the marketing that he's some kind of an independent. He's obviously not a conservative, right? He's obviously not a libertarian. He's obviously not anything that, everybody supposedly used to stand for. Especially now with his big, beautiful bill. The biggest bill in United States history, right? I mean, it sounds pretty fiscal conservative to me, right, guys? And it's just more, funding for the war machine, $1 trillion in Pentagon budget. His projection, as I see it, the egghead that he is. He wants the Iron Dome, or the Golden Dome, I guess we're going to call it. I guess it's gold-plated or something like that, because it's Donald Trump doing it. It just gets old, guys. Meanwhile, the Palantir, along with the Trump administration, those little Palantir plants, are working on data gathering on the American people. So it's just more of the same, right, guys? It's just more of the continuation of the the Bush era forever wars, and the ever expanding, illegal, anti-constitutional, unconstitutional power grab of the the counterfeit government, federal top-down counterfeit, black agencies, criminals that have captured our system of government, basically, just continuing to erode our liberties. And that's, again, just what I see with this latest Solomon guy. I can't even remember his full name. I don't care to. Hopefully he'll rot in a Egyptian prison somewhere for many a year. But hopefully it's not on our tax dollar. We got to take care of this POS. But yeah, I mean, and of course, all the people in the Trump administration are predictably Marco Rubio, the people that head these organizations that routinely set up mentally ill patsies like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. Of course, they're all calling for the strictest the law to be thrown at this guy as a terrorist. And yet, the Epstein list just kind of went away, right? We're not concerned about those terrorists who are actually in positions of power that directly influence our lives. And like another thing I brought up, it's like, do these quote-unquote terrorists ever attack any other targets other than civilian targets? And then, we get screwed from both ends, because on top of it, on the rare occasion, by the way, it's super rare to actually die in a terrorist attack, despite all the news headlines sensationalizing it, making these people into celebrities, and therefore creating a million different copycats if they, so choose to take orders from the Mockingbird media and just keep committing acts of terror. And yeah, we get screwed from both ends, because the same people who these terrorists don't go after, who are actually responsible for things like our foreign policy, just go on to use, problem, reaction, solution, never let a good crisis go to waste. Just go on to use these crises, these trauma-induced brainwashing events to strip away more and more of our civil liberties, right? That's how the game is played. That's how it always has been. Check out these little guys. They're a little far from home, I think. Aw, little babies. Little babies. And guess who wants to get a piece of them? This guy right here. This guy wants a piece. Cute little baby. What do they call it? I almost called them pelicans. Geese. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit far from their natural habitat, just off the side of the highway up here. But Boz sure wanted to make himself a little snack out of one or two of them. Yeah, the same old agenda marches on. The never-ending forever wars led out by the Bush administration and the neocons. And now it's just like repackaged in a different, for a different time frame. And you have all these retard influencers on X, like Nick Sorter, this guy, calling for the immediate roundup of every Muslim in the country, right? That sounds pretty religiously tolerant, right, guys? Unfortunately, for people like Nick Sorter, our system of government, our constitutional republic, is based on religious tolerance, and therefore we have the First Amendment, for instance, which many Republicans these days want to do away with, of course, because they want a freaking theocracy. And I'm a Christian, but I sound like a lefty because of the time frame that I've been, I find myself in. Despite the fact, I'm working on a podcast right now who kind of does a little bit of a deep dive into the Protestant roots of this country. Martin Luther, John Calvin, all these different Protestants. And some of the anti-Catholic sentiment that, obviously led Catholics like Martin Luther, who's a Catholic priest, led them to leave the Antichrist church, which they refer to it as, the harlot, the scarlet harlot of Revelation, pushed them out of the church and created the Reformation, which led to all the later developments that nobody gives credit for, right? And now everybody's like begging, everybody on the right, it seems, is begging to return back to the same kind of dark age, superstitious level, the same dark age religion of Rome. And of course, what comes with that? You have the concept of the two swords, the sword of the church and the sword of the state. And guess who controls the other, according to Rome? Of course, the moral religious leader of the world controls the levers of the state. And that's what all those early American colonists and even the founding fathers, like Jefferson, Madison, the Adams brothers, they were all leery of the influence of the Roman papacy. But at the same time, they lamented the fact that, since America is different, we have to open up the doors to Catholics and, God forbid, even Jesuits, right? The one group of, one organization that is either Sam or John Adams, can't remember which at the moment, called the one organization that is, out of all, that is more worthy of hellfire and damnation, the Society of the Jesuits. But now we have all these so-called conservative influencers like this Nick Sorter guy, and we have Pete Hegseth, the head of the Pentagon, who's having monthly prayer sessions now, Christian prayer sessions at the Pentagon, the hub of our military. This guy with anti-Muslim crusader tattoos all over his body, and you have influencers like Nick Sorter saying round up, basically start another crusade and round up all the Muslims in the country and kick them out over one psychopath who threw a couple mollies at a crowd of Israeli activists. And this is how they control the narrative. This is how they steer the narrative. This is how they continue the never-ending campaign, the creeping erosion of our Constitution and our civil liberties as citizens. And yet, all these people that boast about how patriotic they are, about how pro-America, pro-Constitution, flag-waving dipshits, they're just begging every time there's one isolated event, like this guy in Boulder. They're just begging and pleading for, Big Daddy government to come save them from every little thing that goes bump in the night, basically. every imaginary, irrational fear, they look to the government to solve and to take away and to take the place of God, in that somehow you can predict these crimes, you can read people's minds. No, that's not the society that we want to live in, guys. Okay? Your Orwellian, dystopia, where you don't even have the right to speak freely for fear of being labeled a thought criminal and locked up for pre-crime. I mean, this is not America, guys. This is not America. Good song. But I'm the radical. I guess I'm the radical because I don't go begging on all fours to government to protect me from every, irrational fear in the world. Every time there's one isolated event, one psychopath that acts out on, like I said, the narrative that was pushed out by the state in the first place, the trauma-induced brainwashing, this groupthink collective, victimhood mentality, and these little programmed Manchurian candidates, whether or not they had their Fed or FBI handlers or not, like the Solomon guy, they still got fed the narrative that radicalized them to do what they thought was necessary, right? In any case, but what do you do? Do you ban free speech? Do you, try to figure out who's going to commit a crime or an act of terror before they commit one? Do you round up every member of the same group, this collectivist view? Every time one individual commits a crime, do we make guilty everybody in the same belief system? Every Muslim? Do we do that with Christianity, folks? Every time a Christian nationalist, homegrown terrorist goes and commit a crime like the bombing of the federal building, Timothy McVeigh, do we round up every Christian in the country and ship them off back to Europe, I guess? Back to their home countries where all their family originated from? I mean, it's mental retardation, guys, for lack of a more sophisticated way to describe this condition of these people who masquerade, these patriot posers, these patriot LARPers that masquerade as, I stand for America. Listen to me. If we all go back to my way of thinking, it's going to be like mom and pop apple pie back in the good old days. Yeah, like the Inquisitions of Rome days, the Spanish Inquisitions, right? Round up everybody who's part of this or that suspected group, water torture them like they were doing in Gitmo, the famous, the favorite method of torture of the Spanish Inquisition. Let's all just go back to the good old days, guys, when the church ruled the world. Roman, dominionism, basically. It's the same thing. All the Protestants that founded this country, by the way, Protestant majority by far, maybe 1% Catholic at the 1776 signing of the Declaration of Independence. But we want to go back to the Catholic way of doing things here, guys. I mean, we already got a 77% Catholic majority Supreme Court. Might as well, right? We got these psychopaths who are crusaders leading out our military, thinking they're doing it all according to the will of God, of course, and justifying our foreign policy in Israel by leading the world into a battle of Armageddon, because Israel is, quote unquote, God's chosen people, the nation of Israel, right? Not the group of believers, right? It's nothing to do with righteousness by faith, like the Bible describes it. The promise to Father Abraham is to make him a father of many nations, not just one little speck over there in the Middle East. But don't read your Bibles, guys. Just, take the Jesuit education spoon-fed to you for what it's worth, and watch as your leaders, have to defend Israel at all cost and stage their massive World War III Battle of Armageddon, and see how that all works out for our liberties and our constitutional rights here at home. And that'll be a great excuse, another world war, for that finalization of that world government, won't it? With somebody, more a leader, of course, who repeatedly calls for peace, like the new Pope Leo the 14th. Maybe he'll lead out in the next UN General Assembly. I mean, Donald Trump has already said that he wants to invite the guy back to the White House. What other religious leader gets an audience with a joint session of Congress like Pope Francis did, guys? Just think about it. Anyway, that's partly the subject of my next podcast. So stay tuned. It's a huge work in progress. It's a in-depth, deep dive, like I said, into the Protestant Reformation and how it influenced our system of government and the world that we live in today. So I think it's a valuable topic that we all must learn from, because if we don't understand our history, we don't know who we are, we don't know where we came from, and we don't know where we're headed, basically. Anyway, it's raining like cats and dogs out here. God bless everybody. Until next time. Nightwatch N8, signing out. There's those beautiful snow-capped mountains. Great Divide. Colorful Colorado. Still a beautiful state despite all the insanity. Despite all the psychopaths who live here. Imports from all over the world, including California over there. Colorado's still a beautiful place to live. It ain't cheap, but it's still got its beauty.